The reason you're exhausted every morning isn't because you work too hard, and it's not because you travel too much. It's because every piece of sleep advice you've ever been given was designed for someone who sleeps in the same bed, in the same city, in the same time zone every single night, and you don't. That gap is costing you more than you realize. Jude runs a go-to-market strategy for a massive SaaS company. He was traveling across 5 continents, leading a team across every time zone, and he was exhausted, not just tired. The kind of exhausted where your brain is slow in meetings, you're reaching for caffeine at 2 p.m., and you're lying in bed at 11 p.m. unable to actually fall asleep. In 15 weeks of working together, Jude dropped 20 pounds, but the thing he told me mattered more than the weight, he was sleeping again. And when he started sleeping, everything else followed. My name is Zach Rana. I have a biochemistry degree from UC Irvine. I've competed in bodybuilding. I've traveled over 20 countries while maintaining 12% body fat. I didn't figure out how to sleep well on the road by reading a study. I figured it out in hotel rooms in Dubai, London, Tokyo, adjusting in real time. And what works for someone who travels once a year is completely different from what works for people who are on the road every week. In this video, I'm giving you the 4 variable sleep system I build for every traveling professional I work with. The exact controllables that work even when your time zone, your hotel room, and your schedule changes every week. This is not generic advice. It's not just go to bed earlier. Everything in here is filtered through the reality of a demanding professional who's on the road multiple times a month. So let's get into it. Main point number 1, we need a belief shift that sleep is not rest, it's actually performance. Here's the thing most high performers get completely backwards about sleep. They think of it as recovery, something passive that happens when you're done doing the real work. That's not what sleep is, and understanding this distinction will change how seriously you protect it. Sleep is when your brain does its most important active work. While you're unconscious, your brain literally runs what's called the glymphatic system. Think of it as a pressure washer for your neural pathways. Flushes out metabolic waste products that accumulate during the day, including beta amyloid proteins that are directly linked to Alzheimer's disease. This only happens during NREM sleep, which stands for non-rapid eye movement sleep. And when you cut sleep short or fragment it with a red eye or a 4 a.m. alarm clock, this cleaning process doesn't complete. But here's the performance angle that should matter more to you right now. Sleep before learning improves information retention. Sleep after learning consolidates short-term memory into long-term storage, which means a full night of sleep doesn't just make you feel better, it makes you measurably smarter the next day. Faster recall, better pattern recognition, more accurate decisions. There's actually research showing that cognitive impairment after being awake for 17 to 19 hours is equivalent to a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. After 24 hours awake, you're at the equivalent of being legally drunk. So when you're in a meeting on 3 hours of sleep after a transatlantic flight thinking you're performing, you're not. You're operating at a fraction of your capacity. You probably can't even tell. The belief shift is this: protecting your sleep isn't self-indulgence. It's not lazy to sleep more. It's the highest leverage performance investment you can make. And for traveling professionals specifically, this means building a system around it and not just hoping for it. Here's step number 2. Here's what's going on inside your body when you actually fly. Our bodies run on something called a circadian rhythm. You might have heard about this before. It's our internal 24-hour clock regulated by a region of our brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. One of my favorite words. This clock is primarily calibrated by light. It uses sunlight to know when to suppress melatonin and wake us up. Melatonin is the hormone that makes us want to sleep, right? And it uses darkness to trigger melatonin release and prepare us for sleep. So when you cross time zones, your clock is still running on the time zone you left. Your body genuinely doesn't know it's supposed to be sleeping. This is jet lag, not just fatigue. I'm sure you're familiar with what that feels like. Here's the challenge though: a full misalignment between the internal clock and the external environment is something that happens very frequently for people who are traveling. Your clock's consistently being reset, and poorly. Hotel rooms are also notorious for having bad light management and also bad noise management, depending on which city you're in, right? Light bleeding under the door, blackout curtains that don't quite meet in the middle, the blue light from your phone or laptop right before you try to sleep. Blue light also specifically suppresses melatonin production. So you're lying in a hotel bed, time zone confused, and simultaneously suppressing the hormone your body needs to initiate sleep. Then there's another hormone called adenosine. Adenosine is a chemical our brains produce while we're awake. It builds up throughout the day and creates what scientists call sleep pressure. The more adenosine you have, the more you feel the need to sleep. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine receptors. It doesn't eliminate the fatigue, it just basically masks it. When the caffeine wears off, all that accumulated adenosine floods back in at once. This is the caffeine crash. For people who travel a lot, often using caffeine to push through the time zone confusion, this then creates a cycle of masked exhaustion that fragments sleep quality even when you do finally get to bed. So this right here is the specific problem. It's not just that travel makes you tired, but that it systematically is disrupting these biological mechanisms our bodies use to fall asleep, stay asleep, and clean our brains while we sleep. The solution here to address each of those mechanisms directly is going to take a two-step approach. So let's go into the solution. Now that we've gone over how bad this is and how hard it is, which I'm sure you already know, let's actually talk about how we fix it. So everything in the system I'm about to show you is controllable. I say that specifically because when you're traveling a lot, often it feels like sleep is the one thing that you can't control. But I'm going to show you how you can have more control than you think. You just need to understand what different levers to pull. Here's lever number one, temperature. Our core body temperature has to drop approximately 1 to 1.5 degrees Celsius for sleep onset to occur. This is our biology. Our body literally needs to cool down to fall asleep. Here's the problem in hotels, that rooms are often too warm and you're dealing with unfamiliar HVAC systems. So what we want to do is we want to set the temperature in the room pretty darn cold. Like I'm talking 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit before you're ready to sleep. If you land in a hotel room and can't get it that cool, what you can also do is take a warm shower before bed. This will also help counterintuitively because the warm water raises your skin temperature and then your body has to lose heat to be able to fall asleep. Pretty fascinating. So this can also trigger the onset of sleep faster than just doing nothing. Lever number two that we can pull is light. Morning and evening, this is the most underutilized lever for frequently traveling people. So on the morning side, getting direct sunlight within 30 minutes of waking is huge. Even on a cloudy day, the specific wavelength of morning sunlight signals that suprachiasmatic nucleus, that part of our brains, to anchor our circadian clock to the current time zone. This is actually the fastest way to shift jet lag, believe it or not. A rule that I give every one of my clients is sunlight before phone light. So before you touch your phone, look out the window or step outside. 5 to 10 minutes of this is enough. On the evening side, 1 to 2 hours before bed, shift away from overhead lighting and screens. Blue light blocking glasses are actually one of the most practical tools for this because you can pack them with you, and a lot of hotels unfortunately use these bright LED lights. So then you can kind of take control of your environment with some strong blue light blocking glasses. What these strong lights will do is they suppress melatonin production. So if you can have strong blue light blockers, that will give you a bit more control over your environment. The third thing here is we also want a contoured eye mask. Not just a flat, like those free generic eye masks. We want a proper contoured one that really locks around your eyes and blocks all of the light. This is also huge because, again, light management in hotels, not always great. Or if you want to sleep on the plane and sometimes they have some ambient light on, or if you want to get onto the new time zone as fast as possible, you can control the amount of light that you're experiencing and get the sleep on the time zone you want it to be at. Let's go over lever number 3, the evening wind down protocol. So the biggest mistake that I see people who travel a lot make is going straight from a dinner or a presentation prep directly into bed and expecting to fall asleep. Our nervous systems don't work that way. Our brains need a transition period, a buffer between high stimulation work and sleep. And so without it, you'll find yourself lying in bed. Your cortisol's still going to be elevated, replaying the day or running through tomorrow's agenda, wondering why you can't fall asleep. The protocol here is simple. It doesn't need to take forever. It's just a 20 to 30 minute wind down window before you intend to sleep. During this window, there's no work, no screens if possible, low light. The shower I mentioned earlier counts, light stretching counts, even just sitting quietly with dim lights on, the goal is to signal to your nervous system that it's safe to down-regulate and give yourself that space before actually trying to fall asleep. If you're in a hotel room this feels impractical, it doesn't need to be elaborate. You can literally just dim the lights, put the laptop away, sit with your thoughts for 10 minutes, read something. That's the transition, okay? Lever number 4 is supplements. What to use and when. So there are 2 supplements worth knowing about. The first is magnesium glycinate. This is the form of magnesium that crosses the blood-brain barrier most effectively. It directly supports our GABA system. GABA is our brain's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter. I know that's a lot of words, but basically what that means is that it quiets neural activity for sleep. Most people are deficient in magnesium and don't know it. 200 to 400 milligrams taken about 30 to 45 minutes before bed consistently will help deepen your sleep quality and reduce those middle of the night wake-ups. This one supplement I recommend to every single client to use daily, regardless of travel frequency. The second supplement is melatonin. This one be careful of though and use it strategically, not every single night. Melatonin is most effective for helping your body adapt to a new time zone. So if you take a low dose like 0.5 to 1 milligram, that's enough. Higher doses don't work any better and can cause next day grogginess. So don't use it nightly. Long-term use will actually suppress your body's natural melatonin production and can make it harder to fall asleep without it. So I would reserve it only for significant time zone crossings and really really necessary times. All right, the last thing to wrap up this video, the one habit most traveling professionals ignore. So everything I just gave you will be significantly less effective without this one thing, and that thing is consistency. Not consistency in your bedtime, that's genuinely hard to maintain with a chaotic travel schedule, but consistency in your wake time. Your circadian rhythm anchors itself primarily to when you wake up and expose yourself to light, not when you go to sleep. This means that even on nights when you go to bed late, waking up at approximately the same time and immediately getting sunlight is the most important anchor point your body has. This is the specific adaptation that frequently traveling professionals who sleep well make without realizing it. They protect their wake time. They accept that sometimes they'll get 5 hours, but they wake up at the same time, get outside or open the curtains, let their body rebuild its clock from there. The other thing worth naming directly, the snooze button is actively harmful to your sleep quality. When you hit snooze, your brain initiates a new sleep cycle that will never complete. This is called sleep inertia, and it's the reason you often feel worse after snoozing than if you'd just gotten up. A sunrise alarm clock, one that gradually brightens and increases sound over 20 to 30 minutes, is a great alternative that wakes you more naturally without that huge cortisol spike of the alarm going off. These are especially useful in hotel rooms if you can't rely on natural light. Right now, you have 2 versions of you on your next business trip. Version 1 is you fly in, you're jet lagged, you power through on caffeine, you lie in bed at midnight staring at the ceiling, and you show up to the client meeting running on 4 hours of sleep. You've done that before. You know how that feels. Version 2 is you land, you get sunlight, you set the room to 65 degrees, you do a 20-minute wind down, you take your magnesium glycinate, and you wake up at the same time you always do. You walk into that meeting sharp, you already know what that version of yourself is capable of. The difference between those two is not willpower. It's a system, and the system is learnable. If this video was useful to you, please let me know in the comments. I will keep making videos like this if you find it helpful. And if you do want to work with me and my team, you can click the link down below, schedule a consultation with us, see if we can help you out. But I hope that this video was super helpful, and I will see you in the next one.